Hello, everybody. Adam Parks here with another episode of Receivables Roundtable. Today, I'm here with my longtime friend, client, and industry legend, Mr. Tom Clement, who is stepping in as the CEO of Frontline Asset Strategies. How you doing today, Tom?
Doing great, Adam. Can't complain. So happy to be
Well, I
here.
appreciate you coming on. As you're aware, and the audience probably doesn't know yet, I've been trying to get you on here for quite some time because I know that you have just such a wide breadth of knowledge across the industry. I've had the opportunity to learn from you for years, but for anybody who's not as lucky as me to be one of your personal friends, could you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and how you got to the seat that you're in today?
Yeah, for sure. Tom Clement. I'm the current CEO of Frontline Asset Strategies and CenterPoint Legal Solutions. It's been a long road, obviously. Adam, we've known each other for a long time. As far as sort of my journey to where I am today, like a lot of folks, just kind of started in the early '90s, in the wild west of collections, and cut my teeth on the issuer side. So spent a lot of years with some major brands, so Discover Card and Bank of America, learning the industry from the lender side of the fence. And then late '90s and getting more toward the early 2000s, just kind of made the shift over into the agency side of the business, and really focused in on just enterprise sales and driving business in. And then early on in 2003, or sometime in November 2003, is where I really launched into, you might call it the meat and potatoes of my career, and spent from 2003 to 2016 as the SVP of Business Development for ERC. Back then, it was Enhanced Recovery Corporation. It's gone through several iterations since then, but long time there. So had a lot of success there. When I left in 2016, I had a small stint into the payment space, which is where you and I met for the first time, which was an excellent education. Really enjoyed that. Helped round me out, I guess you might say, as an executive in the industry, understanding kind of all different components, especially that confusing one. And then from there, jumped back into the agency side, joined Frontline Asset Strategies in 2018 as the chief sales officer, and recently in January we underwent some reorganization, you might say, and was able to be lucky enough to be in position to be asked to be the CEO. So that's kind of where I got to, or that's how I got here today.
Well, and that's what a great story. It's interesting because nobody really comes to this industry from the same place, right? Like we've all kind of gotten here through different avenues, and that's always my favorite part of the podcast. And I want to talk a little bit about change management with you because I know that it's something that's fresh on your mind as you're going through that. But before we go down that path, can you tell everybody a little bit about Frontline Asset Strategies and what it is you guys do there?
Yeah, Frontline Asset Strategies is, kind of your garden variety traditional recovery shop, right? And so, like a lot of different recovery shops these days, we're trying to be a lot of different things. But Frontline Asset Strategies, we cater to B2C. We work a lot of consumer loans, credit card, traditional recoveries. We do a lot of first party work, master servicing contracts. We do spend quite a bit of time on the telco side of the business, so we have very large telco relationships. We, over the years, if you knew who we were fairly lopsided and kind of steeped in one particular asset class, which is one of those things that kind of keeps people up at night. And so over the last 4.5 years, we've spent a tremendous amount of time trying to, I guess, balance ourselves out, right, and get to a point to where we're not committed, for one particular asset class. So we've done that, and in addition to that, we also have a legal side of our business. which folks know as CenterPoint Legal. And on that side of the business, we are able to help support recoveries in a litigation fashion. We also do verified POE skip tracing, and we provide dormant judgment work and arbitration, et cetera, there. So we have the ability to really follow the consumer account lifecycle from its very beginning, its origins, all the way through to the very end.
Okay. No, and that's, I mean, it sounds like you guys are focusing on not just one aspect, but kind of that whole life cycle, which I find to be interesting. And it sounds like, the organization
Yep.
itself has been going through change processes for the last 5 years or so. And I think a lot of organizations over the last 5 years have tried to find new ways to diversify their product set so they weren't so reliant on
Yeah.
one particular credit product, and that they were true students of financial
Yep.
services, right? Like that broader bucket, so to speak.
Right.
So,
Absolutely.
so as you've gone through the kind of the change process, right? Like as you've kind of gone through the process of moving in that direction, what kind of lessons have you learned in terms of like the timing of these things? Are you let's change it today kind of guy, or are you like, let me plan this thing out and here's how we're going to make our moves?
So I think in our industry, everything is ever changing and it's changing rapidly, obviously. I feel like, our industry, and particularly, in the agency space and then, in the buying space, kind of feels like we're all just really kind of on a rally track, right? All the time. And, trying to get position, and, we're all trying to make our way. But, yeah, I mean, it is a constant exercise in just balancing your business. And I hope I'm going around, down the right path here. But change management is the single most important thing that we have to deal with on a daily basis. And so, we are quick to make decisions, right? We don't want to linger. We don't want to take too long to make the critical decisions that we have to make today. If we take too long, then the decision that was relevant today becomes somewhat irrelevant at some point down the line. So, we're making moves, and in this industry, obviously, there's a variety of different ways you can go. You can continue to just kind of stick with what works for you, and not evolve, or you can try to evolve far beyond what your core values are, and find yourself kind of getting lost at that point, or you try to strike that balance, where who you are, what your core what your core is, right, and who you are to that end, and then identifying how you can build off of those strengths. So the change management part really comes across the entire spectrum. Most recently, we've added a significant amount of talent to our bench, and executives that I've had the privilege of working with for many years. So that is great, and they bring a ton of value, and most recently adding a new head of operations as well. And we're very close to adding one last component to our team, which is going to be on the financial side of the business, which is also obviously extraordinarily important, and is also that kind of like counterbalance to everything there. So we're excited to have our team set under this, call it this new management team, right? Which I have the good fortune of being able to lead, and I am thrilled to have the ability to work with these super smart people. And someone told me a long time ago that the great leaders, the best leaders, are the ones who surround themselves with people who are significantly smarter than they are. And if you do that, then you find yourself in a very, very good situation, which we find ourselves in today.
It sounds like you're moving quickly on those critical decisions, but kind of working through building your management team right now, or perfecting your
Right.
management team so that you can start to do that longer term strategic planning. One of those changes that I think a lot of our audience is either going through or considering would be that shift with the traditional and the digital side of the collections business. And you always hear different
Yep.
people, right? Flavor of the day, I think is what we hear the most, right? Where we're, I see a lot of
Right.
organizations like, well, we're going to go all digital, and the next person, well, we're going to stay traditional, and you know, I'm feeling like some sort of hybrid approach is probably, what's most likely to be successful in the long term. But how do you go about managing the change of that kind of a process, right? Like that's not just like, let me turn this on. I mean, that's almost like a core fundamental strategic decision. How do you go through the kind of a change management
Yeah.
process for that?
Again, I think it goes back to just understanding who you are at your core and really kind of making sure that you settle in on those values, right? And then, Adam, yeah, it is the flavor of the day, right? It's today it's all about I guess the chemistry of those organizations and what they believe in,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so you have some clients or prospects who are very committed to just digital
Mm-hmm.
only, right? And we do have some digital only suppliers out there, and they certainly fill a need. And then we have clients who are completely the other way. They're very old school. They feel like digital engagement has much smaller target, and that there's still a lot of old people like me out there who want to just look at things the traditional way. I want to pick up a phone, and I want to hear somebody on the other end and talk to them, so I can explain to them why I'm in
Mm-hmm.
distress, and try to work like that. So I think it's, again, a balancing act, understanding and vetting out, and, testing, A/B testing, and just understanding, um, through just those types of practices, what is going to work, what's going to settle in well. And we all know that sometimes we have to do certain things to, I guess, appease or to fall in line with certain requirements or expectations that we have of certain clients, and that's always a juggle as well. So we're of the approach that we feel a combined approach is really the way to go. I would say the general consensus, from all the conversations that I've had uh, with industry colleagues, with clients, with prospects, with tech companies, and folks, we feel that that's really going to be the best approach, and we like that. So we started emailing years and years ago, 10 plus years ago. So I'm not saying that we were pioneers, but we definitely started doing that a long, long time ago before anybody else did. It's been a staple of our recovery efforts. But I think that we ultimately found ourselves in a situation where we got comfortable and maybe a little bit complacent, and maybe didn't advance our digital strategies forward enough like we probably should have. But I find myself not in. I mean, I'm not alone. I find myself in large company, right? I mean, there's a lot of folks out there, a lot of agencies, who are in similar stages of their evolution, where some are behind us and some are in front of us, and we feel like we're in a pretty good spot. So we are working on a few things. We are looking at integrating a full omni channel platform that's going to plug into our environment, and probably sometime June, July, we'll have that kicked off. So we are very excited about that. We've shared that with all of our clients as well, and folks that we have talked to, so that won't come as a surprise. But we are excited about that. So I will say we'll see how it goes. You have a lot of presentations and expectations, and a lot of math goes into it, and a lot of these different scenarios and the outcomes are kind of predetermined, and so we'll see how that goes.
I think from a change management perspective, that testing, right? Like making a change, testing that change. And it sounds like you guys are very much going through that process as you're kind of moving from early
Hmm.
digital communications and now going into kind of those omni and opti channel type environments for the go forward, which I think is really interesting. You're definitely not alone. This is, besides seeing this at, a discussion about this at like every conference, and about the need to go digital, or almost like convincing people why they should go digital. I kind of agree with that hybrid approach, because to me, I feel like every product is unique, right? Depending on the balance range, how it was originated, what kind of underwriting creditworthiness that consumer had at the time of actually taking out that loan.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with all of those little pieces, it often is overlooked that you can find success through these kind of micro channels and understanding a variety of attributes as it relates to any individual account. But I think a lot of that originates from, how did this debt come to be in the first place? But it sounds like from a testing and
Mm-hmm.
management standpoint, you guys are getting an opportunity to go through that. You're building out your executive team, and you're looking at some of these opportunities to improve not only your digital side of your business, but I know you guys are constantly looking at the traditional side of your business as well, and trying to improve that side. Any change management things we should see coming from the traditional side of Frontline Asset Strategies in the coming months?
I don't know. I'm not so sure about the change management piece of it. I mean, we're concentrated on the main core, core values and business practices that everybody else is, right? I mean, we're, again, trying to make sure that we kind of stick to what we know works for us, and then branching out from there. So, I mean, we're hyper focused on. Um, Obviously bringing in new business, right? Finding new clients, continuing to diversify our portfolio, balance ourselves out, getting ourselves to a certain strength level, from a people perspective, obviously financially, et cetera, compliance. I mean, everything that we all know is super, super important. We are in, time our evolution, I guess you might say right now, where it is just a flurry of all of
Mm-hmm.
that. So it's constant balance, and constant change management in anywhere where we feel that we need to make changes or adapt. And you mentioned obviously building my executive team, and I don't know, folks understand kind of where I've been and who I've worked with, but again, I've had the luxury of really working with some great people, and I've been able to bring, or lure those folks over to our side of the business, by, I don't know, kind of just really selling the vision. I mean, we are a strong established group, but my vision is not the same as my predecessor's vision, and good or bad or otherwise. I mean, it's just
Sure.
different. It's like a new incoming head coach, right? So you kind of come in, and you take everything that was working
Mm-hmm.
before, and you continue to to do those things, and then I'll have my own type of spin and ideas, and I'm very fortunate to work with people in our compliance area. Our chief compliance officer and our EVP of strategy are individuals I've had the opportunity to work with a good chunk of my career, so we all kind of know each other. We fight like family, which is great, but we also make decisions quick, and so I don't know. I mean, we're going to see some change management, I guess, when it comes to business balance. Where we put certain portfolio's. Do we put them in our Roseville, Minnesota operation? What's a good fit there for those folks, and or do we put it down in our Jacksonville, Florida location? And do we continue to leverage, or how much further do we continue to leverage our nearshore and offshore
Mm-hmm.
partners, and really kind of focus on hiring and ebb and flow of just employees coming in and out, and what does digital do to us from that perspective? Does it allow us to reallocate, certain overheads, expenses, things like that, to back into our people? And so, I think everyone's kind of dealing with the same questions, but yeah, I mean, we'll see some of that. We'll see growth. I don't know that we're going to see any other domestic facilities come open over the next few years. We're going to continue to fill the facilities that we have now, which are fairly vast. And that's another thing too. I mean, people like, well, why not just close those facilities, work from home? Why not? sublet or, whatever
Yeah,
that is. And, those are all things we grapple with too. And it just depends on kind of where you are in the country as well.
true.
We find that in, one of our locations, our employees want to come into the office. They're super excited about that. They want that camaraderie. And in others, it's, kind of a blend, folks want to be able to work from home. And I don't know, we're not sure what the right answer is. I think some companies are like, work from home is the
Yeah.
right answer. Like, that's it. Get rid of your facilities, get rid of all that cost. And it's a different balance. It's a whole different management style. And for some companies, it works very well. For us now we have, primarily 90% of our folks are in the office, and we do have some hybrids as well. So I guess also grappling with that. I know I'm kind of going all around the whole change management
No,
piece
it's good.
on the traditional recovery side, but it's really hard to channel into one
Well,
thing.
you guys have so much going on. To be honest, Tom, I'm really excited to see what happens over the coming months and over the coming years with your organization, because it sounds like you've got a lot of those pieces in place. You're starting that change management process. You're managing a lot of different aspects of the business simultaneously. And it
Absolutely.
comes with its own unique challenges, but it doesn't sound, from what you're saying, like any of those challenges are just Tom problems, right? Like you're facing all the same things that all of us are facing across the industry and taking a measured approach towards attacking
Yep.
those individual pieces, which I think is hard, right? The discipline to not go after everything at the same time is hard. And it sounds like you've kind of staged this out quite well. For those of you that are watching, if you have additional
Yep.
questions that you'd like to ask Tom, you can leave those in the comments on LinkedIn and YouTube, and we'll be responding to those comments as we get these videos out there. If you have additional topics that you'd like to see us discuss, you can leave those in the comments below as well. And hopefully I can convince Tom to come back on with me in the future and continue helping me create great content for a great industry. But until next time, Tom, thank you so
I,
much for coming on. I really appreciate you.
yep. Absolutely, Adam. And all I can promise is that I will try harder and do better next time.
Yeah, I think you did great. I look forward to seeing you at an upcoming conference. For those of you that are watching from home, thank you so much. We'll see you again soon.